Investigators for the first time saying this is a murder investigation.
The Smith family's legal team announcing overnight that after a phone call with the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division known as SLED, the death is now being considered a homicide.
There's two things that come to my mind. Either he was murdered there or he was murdered elsewhere and dropped there.
But it wasn't until 2021 that law enforcement reopened Smith's case, saying they discovered new evidence while looking into the deaths of Maggie and Paul Murdaugh.
What is up, it's iCkEdMeL. Welcome back to the channel and thank you for stopping by. Stephen Smith SLED has released an official press statement, and I just want to show you this. Let's listen to this together and then we'll go over the press release.
I think we have a big deal to announce to MMP and COJ fans. You know, I had the honor of being retained to represent Sandy Smith a couple days ago, and it's kind of been a whirlwind. We've done a press conference. So what I'm going to say is for Sandy, but most importantly, what I'm going to announce is really for you guys, for Liz and Mandy, because you are the frontline warriors who have fought not only the Murdaugh fight, but really.
She does the podcast Murdaugh Murders, I think, the big Alec Murdaugh podcast.
In keeping to the forefront the Stephen Smith fight, and I think today we're getting some answers because this afternoon I received a telephone call from Chief Mark Keel from SLED. He supports our decision to investigate the death of Stephen Smith. And what he said is, amazingly, Eric, you don't have to exhume Stephen Smith's body to prove to SLED that Stephen Smith died by homicide and not by a vehicular accident. He said, if you want to go out in the public and say SLED supports you, that Stephen Smith died by homicide, that he was killed somewhere else or died in a way that was intentional and not just hit by a car, you have our permission to do so.
So that's pretty cool. The one part when he was like, SLED is like, yeah, you don't have to exhume the body, man, to prove to us. Just leave the body there. I'm like, nah, bruh, we're good. We're good. Exhume the body, look through everything with a fine tooth comb, something like that. So we're going to get into the statement here. Make sure you check out my channel partner, Data Seal service that I use to protect myself from the crazies online. Something as simple as your name or phone number or even email address. These websites, data brokers, are collecting your information, and anybody can pull up your address, your family's address, where you live, your family lives, and all this kind of stuff. It's a mess. Protect yourself because we're seeing these crazy people out there stalking, harassing, and doxing. Your information is being sold by data brokers all the time. It's easy for anybody to look up your information using people search websites. They can find your home address, date of birth, email address, phone number. Dataseal.io is the data removal and monitoring service I trust to remove my information from the internet. Click the link below and use the code 5OFFALL to save 5% off your Dataseal subscription. SLED. SLED provides details in Stephen Smith homicide investigation. In the interest of accuracy, understanding, and the continued mission of seeking justice for victims of crimes, the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division, SLED, is providing the following information. On July 8, 2015, the Hampton County Sheriff's Office requested SLED's crime scene unit to process a death scene involving a body that was found on Sandy Run Road in Hampton County. SLED crime scene agents were dispatched from SLED's headquarters and responded to the scene. Upon arrival, SLED crime scene agents processed the crime scene. The primary mission of SLED is to provide quality manpower and technical assistance to law enforcement agencies and to conduct investigations. SLED's crime scene unit routinely responds to requests for assistance from local law enforcement and fellow state agencies to process crime scenes across South Carolina. The involvement of SLED's crime scene unit at the scene does not automatically indicate a SLED investigation. Oh, so SLED's trying to say it wasn't them. On July 8, 2015, SLED crime scene agents attended the autopsy of Stephen Smith, where medical examiner Dr. Erin Presnell, armpit, concluded Mr. Smith died from being struck by a motor vehicle. How? How now, brown cow? Due to the medical examiner's determination, the Hampton County Sheriff's Office requested the South Carolina Highway Patrol SCHP to investigate Mr. Smith's death. SLED was not requested by Hampton County Sheriff's Office or the South Carolina Highway Patrol to investigate Mr. Smith's death in 2015. On June 23rd, 2021, SLED opened an investigation into the death of Stephen Smith after SLED agents received information about his death and subsequently reviewed the SCHP investigative file. From the SCHP case notes, it was apparent that SCHP did not believe Mr. Smith's death was a hit and run by a motor vehicle. So how could they just leave it all that time like that? What's wrong? What's up with SCHP? SLED's investigation into the death of Mr. Smith was never closed. It remains a homicide investigation. Progress has been made, and SLED's investigation is active and ongoing. Since the beginning of SLED's investigation, the goal has been to find out how Mr. Smith died and find the person responsible for his death. To that end, SLED Chief Mark Keel has assigned additional SLED Low Country regional agents to work this case in the hopes that those who may know what happened to Mr. Smith are more willing now to speak freely now than they may have been in 2015 or 2021. Now, you guys may have seen this, maybe not. This is a statement released by Buster Murdaugh. And it says, "I've tried my best to ignore the vicious rumors about my involvement in Stephen Smith's tragic death that continue to be published in the media as I grieve over the brutal murders of my mother and brother. I love them so much and miss them terribly. I haven't spoken up until now because I want to live in private while I cope with their deaths and my father's incarceration. Before, during, and since my father's trial, I have been targeted and harassed by the media and followers of the story. This has gone far too long. The baseless rumors of my involvement with Stephen and his death are false. I unequivocally deny any involvement in his death, and my heart goes out to the Smith family. I'm requesting that the media immediately stop publishing these defamatory comments and rumors about me." I want to play this audio clip too from the Smith family, the attorney for the Smith family.
Accomplished through the new autopsy is to have a true independent outsider, hopefully someone with some national reputation, to examine the body and give us a true independent view of what happened to Stephen that day. And the reason why the family does not accept the outcome of the first investigation is multiple, right? So Stephen's car supposedly broke down about 3 miles from the place where his body was found. To accept what's been told to the family so far, you would have to accept that that car having broken down in the middle of the night, that he walked for 3 miles down a country road, that he never one time used his cell phone in a 3-mile walk.
Yeah, he had his phone on him.
To call or text for help, that a car struck him, and that his body suffered no apparent injuries from the torso down, that he still had his loosely tied shoes on his feet, that he landed in the middle of the road with no skid marks and no vehicular debris of any kind whatsoever. So everybody in South Carolina knows someone who's either struck an animal in the road or they've done it themselves. I can tell you, if you strike a dog, a deer in the roadway, it destroys the vehicle. So it is unacceptable to believe that this accident happened the way it was determined and that there were no evidence, no debris of any kind whatsoever.
So how did this happen that authorities accepted that this was a hit and run?
It seems like the case did not advance to the SLED level, and SLED in our state is the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division. They are our top cops. If this was a vehicular matter, it would be left to the Highway Patrol. We think at the first pass, it was summarily and maybe lazily characterized as a hit and run because he was in the roadway and his vehicle was found some distance away. And we didn't get to that higher tier of investigation that we would have with SLED.
You have said that you are not suggesting in any way that the Murdaughs were at all involved in this, despite the fact that this happened near their home, but also that a lot of this apparently caught the attention of law enforcement during the investigation of the Murdaugh murder trial. When you look at those dots and try to connect them, I can understand why you don't want to take that leap yet, but is there smoke?
It is true that during the Murdaugh murder investigations, for whatever reason, SLED came across something that caused them to reopen the investigation in Stephen Smith. We don't know what that is. So for the time being, we have to deal with the facts that we have at hand, and those facts are the physical evidence and Stephen's body, which hopefully we can have examined independently and determine whether or not that first conclusion was correct. We just don't accept that it was correct. We know someone out there knows information, and they've carried the weight of their knowledge for 8 years now. And I know it's burdening their soul. So please put that weight down. Call SLED, call the AG, call us.
SLED.
But we intend this time to get real answers about what happened to Stephen Smith.
Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, turn on bell notifications. I'm waiting for Scotty Morris, like some more updates. There's a few things that I could talk about, but I'm just kind of waiting to see if we get any more developments before I get on that. If you haven't seen the previous Stephen Smith video that I covered, click the link, check that out. I'll put it down below, and check out Data Seal. Take care. Love you. Bye.